Hello, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Tackling Our TBR. Last week, we talked mostly about life stuff rather than the book that I read, but this week's video is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be more of a reading vlog style, basically. First and foremost, let's get some life updates out of the way. Last week I told you guys that I have been miserably sick for 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks today that I'm filming this the day that last week's video got uploaded. I have been miserably sick and I could not figure out what it was. And I finally went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and the answer is I have a deviated septum and bone spurs in my nose that are making it impossible for my sinuses to drain. And so it's irritating my throat, it's irritating my ears, everything. There's so much pressure in this part of my face. The good news is it can be fixed with a minimally invasive procedure that I'll be awake for. And it's just like a little balloon that they have to blow up to create the room for everything to drain. So I'm very, very excited. I wish I could do the procedure sooner because I am in a lot of discomfort, but just knowing that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that there's a goalpost, has already made me feel so much better today. But in the meantime, we are going to go ahead and vlog reading a book. I'm going to read this book in 24 hours. And today, our selection is going to be One Day by David Nichols. This has been on my TBR since February of 2024. I think, like, somewhere in there. Whatever I read, no. This has been on my TBR since February of last year, of 2025. So it's been about a year and a half that I've owned this book. I got it from Second and Charles for like $2, so it's secondhand. And I fell in love with the concept after I read Normal People by Sally Rooney, which is basically about two people who date or have a romantic relationship young in their life and how they keep running back into each other. And this is the 20-year version of it. So I started it this morning when I was waiting for my doctor's appointment. I got literally like 13 pages in, and I'm going to try and finish this before 7:30 p.m. tomorrow, which is definitely not hard, like not impossible, because I read pretty fast and I have read several books in a day before, but because I'm so exhausted and tired and like I have to take a lot of naps right now, it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge, and to break me away from my phone, because let me tell you, the phone addiction is kicking my booty, and my screen time is gonna be so bad for this video when you guys see it, but it's okay. We're not talking about that. We are going to go ahead and get started. It is 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to read for a couple hours before I go to sleep, and then we are going to read a bit tomorrow. So I will see you guys around. Okay, so I'm about 73 pages in. We are on chapter 5, and I have so much to think about with this book so far. I think I'm about to go to sleep because I am quite tired. But so far, I love the way that David Nichols uses perspective and the kind of inside view we get into Emma and Dexter's heads. And I can already tell that I have no clue where the story is going to go, but I know that this book is going to absolutely destroy me. So, we will get back to it tomorrow. There's a total of, how many pages? 430. We're on page 73, so I have about 400 pages to read tomorrow. Unless I read more tonight, but we'll see. Good morning! It is about 8-ish in the morning, and it is a beautiful, stormy, rainy day in Central Florida, which I love to see when it comes to reading, and it makes me feel a little bit better about being sick, because like, who could blame me for laying around reading all day when it looks like that outside? I did get quite a bit further into this last night after I thought I was going to stop reading. I ended up going downstairs and reading to page 155, so we're now on chapter 8. the development we've seen with these characters, I can't stop drawing comparisons between this and Normal People by Sally Rooney. And I'm not usually one to like compare books, but it's a very similar story in a lot of ways, but that could be said about all literary fiction, I guess. Um, I'm trying to think my first impressions of these two. Like, I think Emma Morley can be relatable to literally any girl ever, especially any young woman who's just finishing university. Like, you've got these dreams of changing the world and doing all these things. And I think Dexter is reminiscent of a lot of young men, unfortunately. And I kind of hate being inside of his head, but it's also just, I mean, the truth of the matter. Like, he's not a terrible person, or at least not yet, per se, but he is definitely a bit selfish and self centered. And that's one of the things I love about literary fiction is the fact that we get to see more of that. Like, we don't see people who are just black and white or good or bad. We get to see a complex human being going through complex things. So I'm really enjoying their dynamic so far. I love what their friendship has become, and I'm really scared of where this is going because I'm 150 pages in. We have about, I don't know, 200 or 300 pages left. And I mean, I know that something absolutely terrible is going to happen because that just kind of inevitably happens. But, like, I can't figure out yet if it's going to be more or less soul crushing than Normal People or Ghosts or Queenie. I don't know if I'm just not understanding it or like not getting it, but I hate Dexter. Like, there's not a single thing about him that I like. He's evil. Like, he's not evil, but like he's a terrible person. He treats Emma horribly. And yeah, he's been through stuff and he's dealing with alcoholism and all that, but like he's so terrible. Am I meant to like him or am I meant to feel bad for him? I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something. I feel illiterate, but he's really, really upsetting me. I'm not gonna lie. We are approximately, let's see, 217 pages in. So I have about 200 pages left. And all I can think about is how much better Emma deserves, but she still wants him. And it's honestly sickening. And like, it's so realistic. It's so realistic because this is the reality for so many people. Like, it doesn't matter how much you love somebody or how much you did love them at one point. Sometimes that person just isn't good for you, and they can't be the person that you need them to be. But so far, I mean, the writing's phenomenal. The characters are really well written. I just, oh my god, reading from Dexter's point of view literally makes me want to, like, I don't know, stab him with a screwdriver, something like that. Okay, so I'm officially on page 325. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. And I'm just kind of losing my mind for a variety of reasons because throughout this story, Dexter does not at any point so far, I mean, there's still like 120 pages left, but he does not become a better person. Like, at what point do we learn something from this? He continues to treat Emma as this, like, second class, second thought person. Like, he falls back to, it's always like late at night when he's drunk and he's miserable with the way that his life has gone. He falls back and he wants to call Emma and bother her. And she is stuck reminiscing over the good times of their friendship from back when they had just graduated college, but even then, like, he treated her like crap. I mean, I don't know, I'm so frustrated for her, and I'm frustrated at him, and there's 100 pages left, and I just don't understand how anything can be resolved in 100 pages, and I know that I'm getting myself set up for disappointment because I don't know that I've ever read a literary fiction novel that was resolved, like in a typical sense, so I don't actually expect like a resolution, a standard resolution, but I don't see how this is going to end. I'm not sure yet, and it's stressing me out. So I'm going to go ahead and try and finish it, and I will give you guys an update because I'm terrified. Well, I finished one day. I read it in one day, and I think it's really funny because look, there's a lot I have to say, but first of all, I started this yesterday on a whim, knowing nothing about it, and I had started it on July 15th. And if you've never read the book, every single chapter takes place on July 15th, and it goes over 20 something years. So that's just a happy little coincidence, though I wouldn't describe anything about this book really as happy, especially the ending. I didn't cry, which surprised me, but pretty much what I expected to happen happened, and Dexter did become a better person who truly valued and loved Emma. And that's not to say that I don't think he loved her or valued her, but he did not love and value and respect her enough for most of their relationship, which is very frustrating. And I loved everything about Emma. I loved how loving she was, and I thought she could be a little bit silly, but it's nothing that plenty of other people wouldn't do in their lives. I think the biggest takeaway from this book is to, there's so many, really to love people while they're here. To love them while they're here with their whole heart. And if there's somebody that you keep consistently wanting to go back to and you keep wanting to call on your bad nights or your rough days, then maybe there's a reason, and maybe you should put the effort into having that person in your life in a meaningful way before it's too late. Because everything about this book was so beautiful and so heartbreaking. And if Dexter had just respected Emma a little bit more, if he had respected his own feelings a little bit more, if he had taken the time maybe to form some ideals or anything outside of what he already had, outside of money, outside of fame, outside of attractiveness, then they probably could have had a lot of happy years together. But at the same point, Emma loved Dexter. She loved Dexter as he was. She didn't want him to change. She never demanded him to change. So it's unfair for me to say maybe if he'd done this differently, they could have had more time. Because if he'd done anything differently, they may not have ended up together. If he'd done anything differently, who knows where his story would have gone and where hers would have gone. And so I guess we should just be happy for the time that they got together, but it's sad that it was cut short when they were finally at that point where they were living for each other and with each other. And it was really, really sad. I'm trying really hard. I feel like I'm going to cry now that I'm talking about it. But yeah, so if you're going to take one thing away from any book like this, because this is really the value I've gotten from a lot of literary fiction, it's to hold your loved ones closer while they're here, because you genuinely never know when you're going to lose them. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this week's video, and I cannot wait to talk to you guys again next week.